You're standing in the middle of a conversation, smiling, nodding, saying the right things. On the outside, everything looks normal. But inside, you feel it. The tension that wasn't spoken. The truth that slipped through a joke. The emotion hiding behind someone's eyes. You don't try to read it, you just know. And in that quiet moment, you wonder why life has always felt deeper, heavier, more intense for you than for most people. I'll explain why that is later. And I'll also explain why this sensitivity is not an accident. If you've ever felt like you walk through the world with your emotional senses turned up too high, this is for you. If people have told you that you're too much, too aware, too intense, or strangely calming and unsettling at the same time, stay with me. There's a reason for this pattern. And there's a reason certain people are drawn to you while others quietly compete with you or drain you. We'll come back to that. Being this kind of empath doesn't feel powerful at first. It feels confusing. You learn early to read the room because not reading it had consequences. You learn to adjust your tone, your energy, your needs. You learn when to speak and when to stay quiet. Over time, this becomes automatic. You don't call it survival. You call it being understanding. But understanding too much is how you slowly disappear. This is why silence feels so uncomfortable for you. You're used to filling gaps. You're used to smoothing tension. You're used to being the emotional bridge between people. When you stop reaching out, when you stop checking in, when you stop fixing the mood, your body reacts like something is wrong. Guilt shows up. Anxiety shows up. A voice inside says, say something, do something. Don't let it fall apart. But silence is not abandonment. Silence is truth without decoration. No contact feels powerful because it removes your energy from the system. And when your energy is no longer holding everything together, the real structure is revealed. Some connections collapse immediately. Others wobble and show cracks. That information matters. Silence doesn't punish anyone. It simply stops protecting them from themselves. Chasing, on the other hand, costs you something every time. When you chase, you send a message without words. You say that your value depends on being chosen, on being responded to, on being reassured. Even if the other person can't explain it, they feel the shift. Respect doesn't disappear because you care. It disappears when you abandon your center to keep someone close. There is one line I want you to remember. This is the spine of everything we're talking about. Your power returns the moment you stop explaining yourself. Let that land. You don't lose power by caring. You lose power by overproving. People often misunderstand you because you see what others avoid. You sense motives. You notice patterns. You feel emotional undercurrents long before they surface. This makes emotionally unaware people uncomfortable. Some will admire you quietly. Others will test you. Some will try to dominate you. And some will drain you while calling you kind. You may have noticed that when you finally step back, when you stop initiating, when you stop carrying the emotional weight, people change. Some become curious. Some become irritated. Some suddenly miss you. That reaction is not about control. It's about contrast. When your presence was constant, it blended into the background. When it's gone, it becomes obvious. I'll explain why that happens later. As this type of empath, you were never meant to chase. You were meant to observe, to reflect, to hold awareness. When you chase, you step out of alignment with who you are. You turn a mirror into a sponge, and sponges get squeezed. Silence also reveals something else. It shows you who knows how to meet you without you doing all the work. Healthy connections don't collapse when you pause. They adjust. They respect the space. Unhealthy ones panic or disappear. Both outcomes save you time. You might struggle with this because you've been praised for your patience, your forgiveness, your emotional intelligence. But those traits can be used against you if you don't protect them. Being deeply empathetic without boundaries is not strength. It's exposure. Your power returns the moment you stop explaining yourself. That means you stop justifying why you need space. You stop over-clarifying your feelings. You stop teaching people how to treat you. You watch, you listen, you let behavior speak. There's a quiet confidence that emerges when you do this. You're no longer trying to be understood by everyone. You're no longer negotiating your worth. You're simply present, aware, and grounded. And that presence does something powerful. It forces honesty. Later, we'll talk about why people project their shadows onto you, and why your calm detachment can feel threatening to those who rely on emotional chaos. We'll also talk about why long periods of solitude often come before your biggest breakthroughs. For now, understand this. You are not too sensitive. You are precise. You are not cold when you go quiet. You are clear. And clarity changes the dynamic without you saying a word. This is just the beginning. What happens next, when you truly step back, is where everything shifts. When you step back, something important happens inside you first. Your nervous system begins to recalibrate. You are so used to monitoring others that stillness can feel unsafe. Your body learned that attention equals safety, that connection must be maintained at all costs. Stepping back interrupts that old wiring. At first, it feels like withdrawal, restlessness, a pull in your chest. But what's really happening is that your system is learning a new truth. You can be connected without chasing. You can be valued without performing. Psychologically, stepping back restores balance. Relationships only stay healthy when energy flows both ways. When you're always reaching, initiating, fixing, and explaining, the balance tilts. You become the regulator and the other person becomes passive. When you stop reaching, the system has to reorganize. Either the other person steps up to meet you, or the imbalance becomes obvious. Both outcomes are information, and information gives you choice. This is where the mental shift happens on their side. When you stop reaching out, they lose the constant signal that you're available no matter what. The emotional cushion disappears. They begin to feel the space you used to fill. For some, that space becomes reflection. They think about your presence, they replay conversations, they notice what you gave that is now missing. For others, the space feels threatening, and they try to provoke a reaction just to restore the old dynamic. Silence reveals truth either way. Here's what changes in their mind. When you chase, they don't have to wonder about you. They know you're there. When you stop, uncertainty enters, and uncertainty creates focus. Not because you're manipulating, but because your energy is no longer doing the work for them. You become less predictable and more real. And that often increases respect, even if it also creates discomfort. This is why the urge to text or call can feel overwhelming. That urge is not love, it's regulation, it's your system wanting relief from discomfort. The moment you feel it, pause. Don't judge it. Name it. Say to yourself, this is my nervous system seeking safety. Then give it something else. Take a slow breath and extend the exhale. Put your phone down in another room for 10 minutes. Move your body. Walk, stretch, do something physical. You're teaching your system that you can survive the feeling without acting on it. Another practical step is to write the message you want to send, but don't send it. Get it out of your head and onto paper or notes. Most urges peak and pass within 20 minutes if you don't feed them. Each time you resist the impulse, you build self-trust. And self-trust is the foundation of calm power. Your power returns the moment you stop explaining yourself. That includes explaining why you need space, why you're quiet, why you're hurt. You don't owe clarity to people who haven't earned access. Explanation keeps you tied to their reaction, presence frees you. So what should you focus on daily instead of chasing? Start with structure. Empaths often float emotionally. You need anchors, simple routines that bring you back into your body. Morning light, movement, regular meals. These aren't small things. They stabilize your system so you're not seeking regulation through others. Focus on one thing each day that builds your life, not just your relationships. A skill, a part health. Something that reminds you that your identity is bigger than who chooses you. When your life expands, attachment loosens naturally. You're not detaching from people. You're attaching to yourself. You should also pay attention to where your attention goes. When you stop chasing, your mind may try to chase for you. Replaying conversations, imagining responses, interpreting silence. Gently bring your focus back to what's in front of you. Ask, what needs my care right now? Usually the answer is you. Your power returns the moment you stop explaining yourself. Feel how that changes your posture inside. You're no longer trying to be understood by someone who isn't meeting you halfway. You're allowing actions to speak. You're letting absence do the talking. There's also grief in this phase. You may realize how much energy you've given without receiving the same depth back. Let that grief move through you. Don't rush to fix it by reconnecting. Grief is not a sign you made the wrong choice. It's a sign you're telling the truth. As you stay consistent, something stabilizes. The urge to reach out weakens. Your thoughts slow down. You begin to feel solid again. This is when clarity sharpens. You can see relationships without distortion. You notice who shows up without being chased. You notice who disappears when you stop carrying the weight. Your power returns the moment you stop explaining yourself. This is not about becoming cold or distant. It's about becoming honest. Honest with your energy. Honest with your limits. Honest with what you can and cannot give. In the next part, we'll talk about what happens when they come back and what it means if they don't. We'll talk about boundaries that protect your calm and how to move forward with dignity. Either way, this is where everything becomes clear. If they come back, this is where your clarity matters most, not the words they use, not the emotion in their voice. Clarity. Coming back does not automatically mean change. It only means distance created awareness, so you slow the pace. You don't rush into closeness. You don't overshare your feelings. You don't pick up where things left off. You observe how they show up now. Consistency over time is the standard. Effort without pressure. Respect without reminders. Curiosity about you, not just access to your boundaries at this stage are quiet, not dramatic. You don't announce rules. You live them. You answer when it feels right, not instantly to prove availability. You say yes when you want to, not to keep peace. You let pauses exist without filling them. And if something feels off, you don't argue with your body. You listen to it. The goal is not reunion. The goal is alignment. If they push for the old dynamic, that's information. If they minimize the past or rush forgiveness, that's information. If they respect your pace and meet you with steadiness, that's information too. You're not testing them. You're watching reality unfold. Your power returns the moment you stop explaining yourself. You don't justify your boundaries. You don't defend your needs. You let your standards speak through your behavior. Now, if they don't come back, this is where dignity is born. Silence reveals truth either way. If they don't reach out, if they fade, if they disappear, it doesn't mean you weren't enough. It means the connection required you to abandon yourself to survive, and that was never sustainable. Closure does not come from one last conversation. It comes from understanding the pattern and choosing not to repeat it. Moving forward with dignity means you don't chase answers from people who avoided accountability. You don't reopen wounds to confirm what you already know. You allow the ending to be clean even if it's quiet. You grieve what you hoped it could be, not what it actually was, and you keep your self-respect intact. This is where many empaths get stuck. They wait for an apology, a realization, a moment where the other person finally understands. But understanding is not required for you to move on. Peace is not a negotiation. It's a decision. Your power returns the moment you stop explaining yourself, especially to people who are committed to misunderstanding you. As you move forward, something changes inside you. You become more selective, not closed. Selective, you notice red flags earlier. You feel less urgency to be chosen. You value calm over intensity, and your nervous system starts to trust you because you finally protect it. Let's make this clear. Silence reveals truth either way. If they return with respect, you learn who they are now. If they don't, you learn who they always were. Both truths free you. Neither requires you to abandon yourself. Here's a fast summary of what you've learned. Silence is not weakness. It's clarity. Chasing lowers your position because it disconnects you from your center. Stepping back restores balance and reveals reality. If they come back, you move slowly and watch behavior. If they don't, you choose dignity and forward motion. And through all of it, you remember this. Your power returns the moment you stop explaining yourself. One clear action step. For the next 7 days, practice one form of intentional silence. That means you don't initiate contact where you've been over-giving. You don't explain your feelings unless asked with respect. And when the urge to chase appears, you pause, breathe, and return to your body. Let reality respond to your stillness. You don't need to become harder. You don't need to become colder. You become grounded. And grounded people don't chase. They attract what's aligned and release what's not without force. You are not losing anyone by choosing yourself. You are finding yourself. And that changes every relationship that follows. If this resonated, watch the next video where we go deeper into how emotionally aware people rebuild their lives after detachment and why their calm becomes their greatest strength.